Much Ado About Nothing, Part 1. Dear Lady Disdain, a plain-dealing villain. Dear Lady Disdain, there was rejoicing in Messina, for the war was over, and Don Pedro, the victorious Prince of Aragon, was returning in triumph. Tidings were sent to Leonato, the governor, to expect his speedy approach, and Leonato himself, with his daughter Hero and his niece Beatrice, received the prince's messenger, and questioned him eagerly as to the welfare of their friends. "How many gentlemen have you lost in this action?" inquired Leonato. "But few of any sort, and none of name," replied the messenger. "I find in this letter that Don Pedro has bestowed much honor on a young Florentine called Claudio," said Leonato. "Much deserved on his part, and equally remembered by Don Pedro," answered the messenger. "He has, indeed, borne himself gallantly, doing in the figure of a lamb the feats of a lion." When she heard this outspoken praise of the young Florentine, Hero, the governor's daughter, felt a warm thrill of joy, but she only smiled and blushed with pleasure. "I pray you," put in Beatrice, the governor's niece, who lived in her uncle's house and was the dear companion of his only daughter, "is Signor Montanto returned from the wars or no?" "I know none of that name, lady," said the messenger, looking rather puzzled. "There was none such in the army of any sort." "Who is he that you ask for, niece?" "My cousin means Signor Benedick of Padua," explained Hero. "Oh, he has returned, and as pleasant as he ever was," said the messenger. "I pray you, how many has he killed and eaten in these wars?" said Beatrice mockingly. "But no, how many has he killed? For indeed I promise to eat all of his killing." "Faith, niece, you are too hard on Signor Benedick," said Leonato. "But he will be even with you, I do not doubt." "He has done good service, lady, in these wars," said the messenger, and then he went on to praise warmly the valor and noble qualities of the young lord. But Beatrice would do nothing but laugh and mock at all he said. "You must not, sir, mistake my niece," said Leonato at last. "There is a kind of merry war betwixt Signor Benedick and her. They never meet but there is a skirmish of wit between them." While they were still speaking, the Prince of Aragon, with his train of noble gentlemen, arrived. Leonato welcomed them most warmly. Count Claudio and Signor Benedick were old friends, and had previously stayed at the governor's palace. Indeed, before starting for the wars, Claudio had looked with more than an eye of favour on the gentle lady Hero. As for Beatrice and Benedick, they pretended to have a great aversion to each other, but strange to say, instead of avoiding each other's society, they seemed to delight in seizing every opportunity to plague and tease each other as much as possible. On the present occasion, Beatrice had not long to wait, and on Benedick's making some jesting remark to Don Pedro and Leonato, she plunged into the fray. "I wonder that you will still be talking, Signor Benedick. Nobody marks you." "What, my dear Lady Disdain, are you yet living?" retorted Benedick. "Is it possible that Disdain should die while she has such meat food to feed it as Signor Benedick? Courtesy herself must turn into disdain if you come into her presence." "Then is courtesy a turncoat. But it is certain I am loved of all ladies, only you excepted, and I would I could find in my heart that I had not a hard heart, for truly I love none," remarked Benedick in a lofty manner. "That is very happy for women. They would otherwise have been troubled with a most annoying suitor," said Beatrice. "Thank heaven I am like you in that respect. I had rather hear my dog bark at a crow than a man swear he loves me." "Heaven keep your ladyship still in that mind," said the young lord devoutly, "so some gentleman or another shall escape injury." It was all very well for Benedick to scoff at love, but the young Count Claudio was of a different nature. Impulsive and passionate, he was not ashamed to own his love for the Lady Hero, and with the sympathetic help of the Prince of Aragon, he speedily won the lady's consent and her father's approval. The wedding day was fixed for a week later, and the only trial the impatient lover had to endure was the time that must elapse before the wedding. Benedick, of course, did not spare his raillery on this occasion, and he laughed with the utmost scorn when Don Pedro and Claudia declared that his own turn would come. "I shall see you before I die look pale with love," said Don Pablo. "With anger, with sickness, with hunger, my lord, but never with love," declared Benedick. "Well, if ever you fall from this faith, you will prove a notable argument." "If I do, hang me in a bottle and shoot at me," laughed Benedick. "Well, as time shall try. In time the savage bull doth bear the yoke," quoted Don Pedro. "The savage bull may, but if ever the sensible Benedick bear it, pluck off the bull's horns and set them in my forehead, and let me be vilely painted, and in such great letters as they write, 'Here is a good horse to hire.' Let them signify under my sign, 'Here you may see Benedick the married man.'" Benedick's self-assured declaration that he never intended to fall in love or get married, and Beatrice's equal scorn on the same subject, put a mischievous idea into Don Pedro's head, and it occurred to him that the week which had to elapse before the wedding might be most amusingly occupied. "I will warrant that the time shall not pass dully," he said to Leonato and Claudio. "I will in the meantime undertake one of Hercules' labours, which is to bring Signor Benedick and the Lady Beatrice into a mountain of affection one for the other. I would fain have it a match, and I do not doubt of bringing it about, if you three will but help me in the way I point out." "My lord, I am for you, though it cost me 10 nights' watching," said Leonato. "And I, my lord," said Claudio. "I will do any modest office, my lord, to help my cousin to a good husband," said the gentle hero. "And Benedick is not the least hopeful husband I know," said the prince. "Thus far I can praise him. He is of noble race, of approved valour, and of steadfast honesty. I will teach you how to humour your cousin that she shall fall in love with Benedick, and I, with the help of Leonato and Claudio, will so practice on Benedick that, in spite of his quick wit and fastidious temper, he shall fall in love with Beatrice. If we can do this, Cupid is no longer an archer. His glory shall be ours, for we are the only love gods. Come with me, and I will tell you my plan." A plain-dealing villain. Now, among the gentlemen in the Prince of Aragon's train, there was one of a very different nature from Claudio and Benedick. This was Don John, a half-brother of the prince, and a man of sullen, envious, and malicious temper. He was spiteful to all the world, but in especial he hated his half-brother, and he bore a furious grudge against the young Florentine, Lord Claudio, because the latter stood high in the favour of the Prince of Aragon. Don John had long sullenly opposed his brother, and had only lately been taken into favour again. It now only depended on his own behaviour as to whether he should go on and prosper, or whether he should fall again into disgrace. But Don John had no intention of acting more amiably than he could possibly help. His followers, Borachio and Conrad, urged him to conceal his feelings, and to bear a more cheerful countenance among the general rejoicings, but Don John flatly refused. "I had rather be a canker in a hedge than a rose in my brother's grace," he said sullenly. "It better fits my humour to be disdained of all than to fashion a behaviour to rob love from any. In this, though I cannot be said to be a flattering, honest man, it must not be denied that I am a plain, dealing villain. I am trusted with a muzzle, and set free with a clog. Therefore I have determined not to sing in my cage. If I had my mouth I would bite, if I had my liberty I should do my liking. In the meantime let me be what I am, and do not seek to alter me." The news that the gallant young Claudio was to wed the daughter of the governor of Messina put Don John into a fresh fury. "That young startup has all the glory of my overthrow," he declared. "If I can cross him in any way, I shall only be too delighted." His 2 men, Borachio and Conrad, who were as evil-natured as their master, promised to help him in any scheme of vengeance he could devise, and it was not long before Borachio came to him and said that he had found a way to cross Count Claudio's marriage. "Any bar, any cross, any hindrance will do me good," said Don John. "I am sick with displeasure, and whatsoever comes athwart his desire will go evenly with mine. How can you cross this marriage?" Not honestly, my lord, but so secretly that no dishonesty shall appear in me. Show me briefly how. I think I told your lordship a year since how much I am in favour with Margaret, the waiting gentlewoman to Hero. I remember. I can at any unseasonable instant of the night appoint her to look out at her lady's chamber window. What good will that be to put an end to the marriage? The poison of it lies with you to mix. Go to the prince your brother, tell him he has wronged his honour in allowing the renowned Claudio, whom you must praise warmly, to marry a lady like Hero, who has already another lover. What proof shall I make of that? Proof enough to hurt the prince, to vex Claudio, to ruin Hero, and to kill Leonato. Do you look for any other result? I will do anything, only to spite them. Go then, and find a fitting hour when Don Pedro and Count Claudio are alone, and tell them that you know Hero loves me, said the wicked Borachio. They will scarcely believe this without proof. Offer them the opportunity to test the truth of your words. Bring them outside Leonato's house the night before the wedding, and in the meanwhile I will so fashion the matter that they shall see Margaret speak to me out of the window, they shall hear me call her Hero, and there shall appear such seeming truth of Hero's disloyalty, that Claudio in his jealousy will feel quite assured of it, and all the preparations for the wedding shall be overthrown. Let the issue of this be what it may, I will put it in practice, said Don John. Be cunning in working this, and thy fee is 1,000 ducats. You be steady in the accusation, and my cunning shall not shame me, was Borachio's response.